It looks like a phone. Hello. So I'm going with 2005 STI front and rear calipers that my good friends over at Prodigy powder coating. They did my headers and a whole bunch of other parts. Rebuilt these, so it's fresh seals, fresh powder, so they're 0-mile brakes, correctly rebuilt. If you buy a set of Brembos and they're all destroyed, it can't hurt to have them sent over to Prodigy, have them rebuild them. Now you know that they're working. Now as far as adapting everything to work, the front calipers are going to bolt right on using everything factory and then just 04 STI rotors. The rear, it's going to be a little fun. So in my hands for the rear is the K&S Brakes rear adapter brackets, which will adapt either to the 2-pot red calipers found on the 07 WRX or 2-pot Brembo calipers, which is what I'm going to be running, as well as the rear e-brake adapter shoes. These adapter shoes allow you to use a off-the-shelf 04 STI rotor, which was my goal. I didn't want to get the adapter rotors because they're a lot heavier because of all the extra material. Does anyone know what the hell those are? So K&S came out with these, so now if, say I crack a rotor on a tractor or something like that, I can go to Advanced, pick up an 04 STI rear rotor, and slap it on without having to worry about getting an adapter rotor or anything. So if you guys need either these, the adapter shoes, or the brackets, hit up K&S Brakes and grab a set. Yeah. Let's get going.
You turn it upside down, you turn it into a frown, make a smile with it.
Thanks, K&S. So originally I just wanted to do the Brembos, but then I also wanted to do their back Brembos. So then I had to get the adapters from K&S sponsored. Then to clear my wheels, I needed 10mm spacers. To clear 10mm spacers, I needed Arp Extended Studs. And while I was in there, I wasn't going to use the rubber brake lines, so I got stainless lines. And if I'm dumping everything else out, you might as well replace it with high temp brake fluid. What I'm getting at, guys, doing Brembos correctly can get very expensive.
I will. Good as new, actually.
Not wrong.
I'm above you.
So I just removed the dust shield, kind of mangled the hell out of it in the process. Either way, the goal is to remove this without damaging everything else. You can use either a chisel and a hammer like I was doing and just pry it away. We're not reusing this, so as long as you get it off, that's fine. I showed you with a screwdriver because if you don't have a hammer and chisel, you can do it with a screwdriver and just some brute force. But weight reduction.
He's gonna get stumped. I saw it. Yep.
Yellow is on this side. Hey, so we hit a snag in the rear. Apparently, WRX rotors and STI rotors are the same thing to parts stores. So, unfortunately, I got the wrong rear rotors, so I have to overnight the correct rotors. But in the meantime, we're gonna do the front, and those I know are the right rotors. So, gonna pull the wheels off, throw some extended studs on there like we did in the rear, and then put the Brembos on.
These are the nice looking ones anyway.
Yeah,
These are cool.
Yeah, and then we're gonna do stuff on the Legacy because can't do anything else on this. So. The reason I'm doing the Arp Extended Studs is I do plan on eventually tracking the car, and there's a lot more stress on the stock studs. However, the main reason is I need to run a wheel spacer, and you don't want to run them on a stock stud because by the time you put your 10 mil on, you're going to have maybe a 1/4 inch of threads actually grabbing. So with these extended studs, you'll have full contact of the nuttage. So, you know, it's a lot safer. You can put the spacer on confidently and you'll be perfectly fine.
Can you give the audience a definition of nuttage?
Yeah. The inches per nuttage is much higher on this one than this one.
Metric?
Standard nut.
Got it. Standard nut.
Ready. Now I think oh, this is fucking huge. Oh my fucking god. We got the studs on, now we're gonna pull this dust shield off because the bigger rotor is gonna contact it. So we can just pull that off. Weight reduction.
I'm back.
Yeah.
I got lost. It's a long way.
That's a fucking massive rotor.
Well, you got to stop at some point, so.
You're not wrong. So just to compare, that's a stock rotor. This is an STI rotor.
Hold on. Yeah.
Slight size difference. Ever so slight of a size difference. Ugh.
So what you're telling me is size matters, or
Yes,
what are you trying to tell me?
If they ever say it doesn't, they're full shit. So now I'm just wiping off any oil on the rotor, and now we can put the Brembo on. Let's get the Brembo. Make sure to put anti-seize on your mounting bolts for Brembos because it's a steel bolt going in either cast aluminum or magnesium. One person said they were magnesium. Make sure to put anti-seize on, otherwise they will gall, and then you're gonna have a shit show next time you try and remove them. So, moment of truth. Here we go. If you're just installing Brembos and you've never installed them before, your bleeders always face up because this can go on the other side, vice versa. Bleeders always face up. That's how you bleed them out. That looks so good. 19 all the way at the end.
It is.
There you go. So what if nothing else went right today? This is good.
What do you mean? These look Oh. Sorry, I shouldn't have went there.
Never assume the parts stores know their part numbers. They can all order them, but I don't trust them at this point. Wow, that's huge. So now we're gonna grab the pads and we're gonna build a caliper. I chose to go with the StopTech, unsponsored, sport pads because my good friend at Rally Sport, Cody, great name, highly recommended them. He runs them on his car. He does track days, daily driving, autocross, and he spoke very highly of these. So we're gonna give them a go. So got these for the rear as well as the front. Got some cleaned up hardware, and we're gonna install them. Yeah, so just applying a little bit of grease on the side. And then an old school trick, I guess, is to put some on the back. Helps with noise, avoiding the pad. Just a little bit goes a long way with this. A little bit in the holes, as that's what's gonna be sliding. Slide the back pad in first. Slide the pin through, that way it doesn't slide all the way down. Put grease on the outer pad. Then you're gonna take this guy, and this keeps pressure on everything, under pressure. And that's how easy it is to install the pads on the Brembos. So, those are ready to go. Obviously, we can't because we got the wrong rotors, so we still have to hook up the brake line, but we're not gonna do that because I have the stainless steel brake lines, and instead of opening the system now, we're gonna wait until we have the rear rotor. So, we're gonna throw a wheel spacer on, throw the wheel on, make me happy again, and then we'll do the other side. Chris, wheel spacer. Moment of the truth. Oh, it's a tight damn fit. Oh.
Wow.
That was good. I like that.
That is pretty cool, man.
Cool, so
That's huge.
do the other side now, throw the front on, and then we're gonna call it a day. Sorry, just got quiet down my biggest fan. Unfortunately, we got the wrong rotors the first round. They were WRX rotors, despite typing in an STI number, blah, blah, blah. Either way, we got the right rotors now, so let's continue with the install. Currently, as you guys saw me install the K&S adapter e-brake shoes, the double thick guys, we're gonna go ahead and slide these bad boys on and make sure they're good to go. I had to back the adjuster all the way in. It's a tight fit. It is a really tight fit. So let's go ahead and slide this on and we can continue with the install. Next, we're going to take the adapter brackets from K&S brakes, and we're going to install them on the back of my Forester. You get 2 brackets, a bag of hardware, and some instructions available online. You guys can get the same brackets as well as read the instructions prior so you don't mess it up. We're going to move forward and install the rear bracket. You're going to take your rear bracket, it'll set on just like that. Next, take your hardware. You're going to use the shorter bolts to fix the brackets to the rear hub. Next, you can snug it up with a ratchet and appropriate socket. Now, if you don't have a torque wrench, you now need to go buy a torque wrench because everything on the rear brakes and the front brakes gets torqued appropriately. The bracket to the backing plate is 35 foot-pounds, and then bolting the caliper to the bracket is 35 as well. If you're doing the FHI, which is the 2-pot smaller calipers off the WRX, it is then 40 foot-pounds. So make sure you guys torque everything, that way you don't damage anything. And make sure you guys chase the threads out. If you don't have a nice tap and die set, it can't hurt to get one, especially working on these cars. You never know when you're gonna need it. You can take a step back and say, wow, that's a nice Brembo. Once you have your rotor installed, now we can install the Brembo again. Same thing, 35 foot-pounds, torquing the caliper down. So far, looking really good. Now we're gonna put the pads in and make sure we have no issues with the rotor to Brembo clearance. Freshly installed rear Brembo utilizing the K&S rear adapter brackets and the K&S adapter e-brake shoes. But yeah, make sure you guys torque everything, and now we're gonna go install everything on the opposite side. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments or pause the video. The install instructions will be in the description, so you guys have any issues, you can follow along via Ken's instructions. Yeah. There we go. Now that we got the K&S brackets on and the rear Brembos on, so we got the front Brembos on, the rear Brembos on, the pads in the front, the pads in the rear. I think it's time to connect the lines. That kind of rhymed. That was cool. But anyway, I'm going with stainless steel brake lines because they give a firmer pedal versus the rubber lines that over time they just fatigue and they can expand and gushy pedal, gushy. Thank you to John for selling me a whole bunch of Subaru stuff when I really didn't need it. But also, he's letting me borrow his Mighty Vac, so this is gonna make bleeding the system a lot easier. You hook it up to each bleeder, pump it up. It's a one-man operation. But thank you, John. He also let me borrow the stud install tools. Let's get back to it. Let's install some brake lines, and then maybe we can go for a drive. Not sponsored yet. So obviously you're gonna get 4 lines, 1 for each corner of the vehicle. Wow, these are nice. I've never had stainless steel lines on a car before. And then you get a bag of new banjo bolts, crush washers, E-clips to hold these in place. So I'm gonna install the brake line first onto the caliper because these are all brand new lines, brand new calipers. There's no fluid in anything yet. So this is gonna allow me to install the lines without risking dripping brake fluid everywhere at a later time. So we're gonna install this, 1 crush washer, bolt, crush washer, banjo fitting, crush washer, and then thread it on in carefully. So next, we're gonna disconnect the brake line up here using a flare nut wrench. I'm using a flare nut's crow's foot. Now, make sure you have a drain pan underneath because it can start to leak. We're also gonna remove the mounting tab here that holds the brake line on, as well as the one down here. So you guys last saw me bleeding the brakes Nothing really exciting happened after that. It is a massive pain in the ass to bleed these brakes because there's 2 bleeders on each. You gotta go from the furthest from the reservoir, inside, outside, inside, outside. So after it's all bled, take it out for a drive, see how it feels. Make sure everything's bedded in there properly because you just put new pads and rotors on. So everything has to bed itself in. I want to give a thank you to K&S Brakes for the adapter brackets as well as adapter e-brake shoes. There's a couple ways of doing the rear, like I mentioned. You can either do adapter rotors or e-brake shoes. I opted for the e-brake shoes because it's now an off-the-shelf rotor. So if you break down or break a rotor on a track or something on a track day, you have a chance of Advanced, AutoZone, local parts store, or even the dealership having a stock 04 STI rear rotor. However, if you do the DBA adapter rotors and you crack a rotor, warp one, you're kind of screwed until you can get a new one shipped and delivered. And then I also want to give a massive thank you to Prodigy powder coat. I don't know, I'm up in a boopity. Massive thank you to Prodigy powder coating. Again, they've powder coated everything I have, any Cerakoting, everything. They are my go-to people. They do an incredible job, very quick turnaround times. They also have very high standards, so they're not gonna let anything slip through the cracks. They're gonna take care of you, make sure they're using brand new seals, brand new this, brand new that, boppity boop. So that way when you put your brand new Brembos on that are rebuilt, 0-mile Brembos, you're good to go, you're not gonna have an issue. And thank you guys for watching. I know this has been a long delay as far as shooting it and uploading it. However, I just want to drive on it, make sure there was no issues. We'll see you guys in the next one. I have more brake components to upgrade, like I have a master cylinder brace to install, so you guys will see that probably in the springtime. In the meantime, it's now winter time. It was a quick, nice-ish day, so I took the toaster out real quick just to, you know, shoot the ending of this video. But again, we have plans over winter, so thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.